Hello, this is Celeste. I'm an astrologer, coach, and intuitive. And today I'm going to talk to you about the Saturn square Uranus, the main events of 2021. Great. I love this quote. It totally encapsulates the message and the meaning that our cosmic teachers are trying to teach us with Saturn square Uranus. No one can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and make a new ending. Maria Robinson had these wise words to say about, it's never too late to make a change. And Saturn square Uranus is asking each and every one of us to understand where there's structures and entrenched structures that no longer serve us, where we need to make change in our lives. See the agenda, we're going to talk about the players, Saturn and Uranus, then the larger synodic cycle of their connections, and then the astrology charts of each one, and then what Saturn and Uranus square means for you. And I'm going to try to be concise. There's so much air out there with all this Aquarius wind whipping through my head. I found I have really been more talkative lately, so I will try to be concise and keep this under 30 minutes. So first, I'm going to talk about Saturn. So Saturn, the ancients, Saturn was the furthest planet that they could see from our position here on Earth. And Saturn represented to them limitations, boundaries, and restrictions. They thought it was the end of the universe where Saturn is. It also represents the material world, authority and government in mundane astrology. And right now, Saturn is in Aquarius. It's a fixed air sign. It's a sign of the future. It's a sign of the visionary. And it rules the internet, the collectives. When we're talking about Aquarius, we're talking about humanitarian ideals of all people being equal. The founders of the United States deliberately picked an Aquarius moon for the chart of the United States because it represented the ideals of, we the people all being equal. Now we know we haven't lived up to the vision, but it's a work in progress. But that was what the vision was. So also our convictions, our social programs are very Aquarian, and authoritarianism is very Aquarian when on the shadow side, power over all the masses. So Uranus, the great awakener. So Uranus is the next planet out there. It wasn't discovered until I think it was the 1780s, right around the time of the American and French Revolution, which it's the lightning strike, sudden events, revolutions, seismic shifts, inventions, scientific breakthroughs. It's also the planet we think of when we think of accidents, like really bad accidents. And right now it's in Taurus, which is a fixed earth sign. And this is our resources, the economy, currency, land, food, safety, and security. So Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. So you may have very well been feeling a pull, and you might not know exactly what is, but a pull to make some kind of change in your life in the area of your chart that Uranus resides in. Well, Saturn's coming to kick it up on February 17th for the first time. And then there'll be 2 additional squares. So it depends on your chart. Are you being directly activated by these energies? Are they more subtle because they're not interacting with any of your personal planets? But yeah, every one of us is being called in some way to make some change to our structures that no longer serve us. Great. So the cycle began in 1988. And so most people have an understanding of the moon cycles, where the new moon, they come together, and then the moon starts moving forward and then makes a square when it's 90 degrees ahead of the sun, and then when it's 180 degrees ahead of the sun, it's a full moon. And then when it's back on the 90-degree side, it's a last quarter moon, and then they start anew. And that happens like in a month. But there are also, every planetary pair has a synodic cycle. Now for Saturn and Uranus, that representation, what I just went through, takes 45 years. So the cycle began in 1988 when they met in the sign of Sagittarius. And so this is just a demonstration of some of the events that relate to Saturn and Uranus. This will be available. There'll be a link so that you can download the presentation if you so desire from YouTube. But in any case, you know, earthquakes are the perfect representation of Uranus, a sudden shocking event that seemingly comes out of nowhere. There was a big one in 1988 in Armenia, killed 60,000 people. The Lockerbie terrorist bombing, that was when a Libyan terrorist shot a plane out of the sky over Scotland. It was a huge, huge deal, big news, a very shocking event. What's really interesting, in Myanmar, in this uprising was a democratic uprising in 1988. And now we're seeing, as this cycle is coming to the third and closing quarter, where we are now, there was recently a military coup where the military has seized control and the people came out in the streets. It's going to be very interesting to watch what happens in Myanmar as, you know, the cycle starts to complete and start anew. Iraq used gas on the Kurds. I bring this up because it just feels to me there's so much air that something like this could happen again, where people are poisoned. You know, the people are poisoned by gas, and we've seen this, you know, in other places. But it just jumped out at me. Also, the nuclear treaty with the U.S. and the former Soviet Union, and we know we've been dealing with them quite a bit over the last couple of years. So currency is often also a topic that speaks to change. This Uranus at this point, it was Saturn in 2000. It was Saturn in Taurus and Uranus in Aquarius. So there was Saturn was in the sign of ruling money and currency. So yeah, there was the euro was introduced, and now Bitcoin is becoming more and more of a topic of conversation, and these other cryptocurrencies. We had an impeachment back then when the planets were flipped, and now we had an impeachment. Both were acquitted. The people losing power in Brazil, mass numbers of people losing power, very Saturn Uranus. I personally am concerned about like some kind of internet outage. Actually, we're seeing power outages in the United States. We're having this really big storms here. Also, same-sex unions that were a topic in 1999, 2000, as well as the opposition in 2008 through 2010. There were like 5 hits for that opposition. That happens every once in a while. Obama being elected was a big change, with an African-American president being elected. And again, we saw the Haitian earthquake happened during this time. So now we get to this year. We know we have seen so many of these things. In fact, we saw some of that Saturn-Uranus square when Saturn just dipped into the sign of Aquarius back in 2000 for a couple of months and just went back up. That was when we went into quarantine, the restriction of the people. And it was very, for a lot of people, probably hadn't even thought one bit about the coronavirus. And it was very a sudden, shocking thing. The George Floyd killing and the related protests, and some turned into riots, was also very Saturn, Uranus. So civil unrest. Well, this year, I've already mentioned the coup in Myanmar. We all had an attempted coup in the United States with the insurrection of January 6th. It's the first time we've had a non-peaceful transfer of power in the United States, and we are moving towards our Pluto return. And a Pluto return is like when everything is unearthed, all the, all the rot is pulled up to the surface so that there can be a transformation. And hopefully, I mean, democracy held, hopefully it'll be a positive transformation, but that is coming in, I believe, in 2022. I have to look up the exact date, but we have been feeling this pull towards that. And I believe Donald Trump is part of our Pluto return as a country. The GameStop, the stock, that whole thing, when the Redditors just decided they liked GameStop and they liked AMC theaters, started buying up the stocks. And then all of these hedge fund people who short, like, are betting on it losing value, started losing money, and then they had to buy more to cover them. I mean, it was just so interesting, this whole event, which is another part of this Saturn Uranus story, because it was very Aquarian, how, just some people, a club of people banded together and, sent a shock through the financial community. Oh, just this last weekend, I think it was, there was a NASCAR where it had this humongous crash where people just came out of the starting line like crazy. And I read a story and they were like saying it made no sense why they were driving so erratically so early in the race, but it was so Uranus in Taurus, and Mars is in Taurus too. So it just really spoke to this as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the chart. So this is the first one, and we're going to spend most of the time talking about this first one. So the key features are there 5 planets in Aquarius. So there is a stellium, a concentration of this fixed air energy. It's so important that we ground ourselves and try to get out of our heads and into our bodies, because there can be, with all this air, there can be a sense of nervous, excitable energy as well. With Uranus, it's can be disruptive to the nervous system. So that is something to be aware of when they meet at the crossroads at 7 degrees from their respective signs. So there's no fire in the sky either. Fire is the action taking sign. So if you feel like you are having difficulties making decisions or moving forward, try to lean into your fire. Mercury is retrograde, so we should really just be slowing down anyway. It's not a good time to be rushing around or trying to do too much if you can help it. Because as I mentioned, Uranus is the planet of accidents. Also, the sun is at 29 degrees Aries. That's the last degree of the sign, 29 degrees Aquarius. It's the last degree of the sign, which is an anaretic degree. And when we see things happening when we see dates at 29, it's like the energy is really entrenched and is about to shift. And I think it's meaningful that on this date, the sun is in that last degree of Aquarius. I don't know what we're going to see. If we're going to see something additional in the US or what have you, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Also, Venus is squaring Mars, so I am concerned about the economy for this. Venus rules the money, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, so that's our economy and our commerce, and we know, there's got to be some repercussions from all of this pandemic. People, not getting out, not spending money. It's got to be having an impact on the financial system, even if the stock market has behaved as though nothing is going on. Something is definitely going on. Yes. So another feature of this is the moon is conjunct Uranus, and both of them are on the fixed star Hamel and Scheider. Hamel being the one that's more concerning to me. And maybe this is the Capitol riots, because Hamel, like seeking a physical solution to a problem, or maybe they're planning something else. Hopefully it will be taken care of by the FBI. I like Mercury being in retrograde for when people try to commit crimes and they don't cover their steps and they make mistakes and they get caught. So that could be a feature, but violence, brutality, and cruelty. And the moon represents the people in mundane astrology. So that to me feels very like there's going to be like this Uranian, and it could happen anywhere in the world, this Uranian force trying to, do something to the people in order to, it just speaks to me a terrorist attack, frankly. Yeah. And Scheider, power games, difficult or scandalous divorce. Maybe there'll be an announcement of some high profile couple splitting up and it get really nasty. We shall see. But that's the first one. I also just wanted to bring to your attention, this is all three of them. And the thing that just jumped out at me, two things jumped out at me. One, I felt these all are tied into Donald Trump. We're not done with him yet. This first one on the 17th is close to President's Day. It's the week of. June 14th is his birthday. And the last one near Christmas, the moon is at 29 degrees Leo, right on his ascendant. So really interesting. The second thing that jumped out at me is that the moon is playing a key part in each of these ones in some way. So like I already mentioned, this time the moon is right next to Uranus squaring Saturn. That also could be restrictions from the government, like we could find something new, as if we need another thing. Let's hope it's a scientific discovery of some sort that helps us move forward in this pandemic. We shall see. On the June 14th one, the moon is at 14 Leo, opposite Saturn. So really interesting. Leo is the sign of the children. So we'll see, if there is something related to releasing the restrictions on the children or more restrictions on the children. I don't know. We shall see what is coming from that. But there is a T-square to Uranus. So if you can see, the moon is opposite Saturn, and they're both squaring Uranus. So Uranus is the focal point. And when we look at the T-square, so it's a fixed energy square. So we look to the opposite sign of the focal planet for release. So the release of this T-square is at 13 Scorpio. So to me, it feels like something is going to be unearthed around this date. I don't know what. We shall see. Yeah, and then the last one, Jupiter being opposite the moon at the 29th degree. So they're both at anaretic degrees of the sign. So Jupiter in Aquarius, getting ready to move into Pisces, going forward, opposite the moon, opposite the people. This to me as well speaks to some kind of, I don't know, something big event involving the people. I mean, and also what's of note here is that Venus is just leaving a conjunction with Pluto. So this speaks to me about a powerful, powerful woman. And I need to look at Joe Biden's chart, because when the sun opposes Uranus, that could be something with him. I don't know. There's this thing called Tecumseh's curse, where presidents presidents elected when Jupiter meets Saturn. Many of them have died. but Ronald Reagan broke the spell. He just got shot. And with George Bush, it was just 9/11 kind of was symbolically an attempted assassination against him as they were flying the plane to the White House. But yeah, no, I'm a little worried about Joe Biden. I don't know if, he could have a health problem or, you know, or assassination attempt or something like that, because this speaks to me, who knows, maybe Kamala Harris could become president. This is just me, this is just intuition, um, not anything else, but I hope he will be just fine. We're doing well so far, as well as can be expected, but we shall see. So anyway, now I want to talk about what this means for each sign. Okay, so first we're going to start off with our Aries friends. Aries, the warrior. So what you're having happen is you're having some change in your values. Uranus is on your second house of values and personal resources. It could also be change in money. Either, I mean, we know so many people have had problems with losing their jobs based on the pandemic, or maybe you're making even more money for other reasons. A lot of people are still doing just fine. And then it is squaring the 11th house. This to me speaks more to internal, in terms of maybe you're deciding you need different friends, groups of friends, or that some of the associations you've had maybe need to change. So, but that's where that pressure is from your second and 11th house. Yeah, for Tauruses, this is so big because Uranus is in your first house, and Taurus is known as the bull, the fixed sign that does not want to change. I know when I speak, I am a sun Taurus, and yeah, I am called to change. So this is like when something's in your first house like this is the sun or rising sign, you're like really called to change your outward expression in the world. And the pressure is from, and the structure that needs change is like your career, your social standing, your purpose, your calling, your reputation. So very interesting. Many Taurians are making changes in these areas. Gemini, this is more subconscious. So the Uranus is in your 12th house of self-undoing and secrets and mysticism. So I don't know if you have any bad habits. This is a good time to release them. The 12th house, we can think of addictions or things like that. But it also just be just a call to be more spiritual and let go of outdated beliefs in terms of religion rules the ninth house. So Saturn is there. Or maybe you want to start a podcast or something. So to bring broadcasting is the ninth house as well. Maybe you want to build a new structure in the ninth house, publish a book. Yeah, Geminis are great writers. Okay, Cancer. Cancer, you are being called to potentially change your social groups, expand your network. And then the Saturn's in the 8th house of sex, death, and the kitchen sink. But to me, this speaks to changing internally. I really think of the 8th house as like going into the basement and really, really getting in touch with your inner self and seeing how you want to change your hopes and dreams or your groups. Maybe there's some friends that need to change from your life. And so Leo, this could be a year you meet someone special, if you that like really can go the distance with, or if you are married or partner that you really need to put in some work. Saturn can also be work to make sure your relationship is strong, because it has been very, very difficult through this, and you can see the change in the 10th house of career. So this could speak to, you're working together in your house because of coronavirus, and that need to work is putting pressure on your relationship because you've got the kids and the homeschooling and all this stuff, this can speak to that. But it also speak to, like finding new wonderful ways to partner. Yes. And so Virgo, your health and daily life is in focus. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're, it's really important to breathe. There's so much air. It's so important to breathe and take time to, I don't know if you want to meditate or get out in nature, take your vitamins. I really recommend Epsom salt baths to dislodge all this extra energy. So yeah, so that's what I recommend for Virgos. And there's going to be some change. Maybe it's a great time to learn a new skill or hone new skills with Uranus in your 11th house, ninth house of higher learning. Libra, this would be a good, well, Saturn's in your 5th house. So Saturn can bring hard work, but it also can be the glue. So I don't know. I mean, Libra's a sign of partnership. There could be meet someone new and serious, or it could just be restriction, or you create something that has some real structure, and the change is from the 8th house. So to me, it could be like you meet someone new who you're eventually going to share your resources with. And yeah, that could be. Yeah, or your child needs a loan. I mean, there's a lot of different things that, you just look at the keywords and mix them and you can see how it's working in your life. Okay, Scorpio. Scorpio, this is at your roots, Saturn. There is something that needs to be adjusted. So it could be something about your home, your parents, and it should just be the private self that you are coming into having a reckoning about something needing to change. Yes, and Uranus, it could be around, some kind of change in your marriage, business partners, also open enemies is 7th house. So there can be some kind of change that when you address the structural issues you need to let go of. And at Sagittarius, so this again, I like the idea of Sagittarius, like putting a plan in action to really network and communicate. There could be some kind of restriction with your siblings, or some structure that needs to change with your siblings. And the change in your daily life. Sagittarius likes to have a good old time. If you're overindulging in anything, maybe it's a good time to think about how you want to change that for better health. And when you improve your health, your whole daily life gets better. Or just, I don't know, any kind of change to your daily life. Yeah, so Capricorn sun and rising. So yeah, Saturn in your 2nd house of personal resources. So maybe this is a really good time for you to really put energy into saving money and building your wealth, which Capricorn loves to do. And a change can come from the 5th house. So this could be like a child asking for a loan, or like they're going off to college. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could come with this, but yes. Yes. Now, Aquarius, Saturn is in your 1st house. This is such a big year for Aquarians. This is your year. We had the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in December, starting a new 20-year cycle at 0 degrees of Aquarius, right in your 1st house. And it is, yeah, it's just a time of growth. It's a perfect time for Aquarius. Everything has changed. We are moving towards the future. What structures do you want to bring in to your life to support you as you move forward? And maybe you need to make some changes in terms of at your root on how you could decide to move. Yeah, your parents could want to come live with you. There's a lot of things that could happen when Uranus is in your fourth house. Let's see. And finally, last but never least is Pisces. So again, Pisces, Saturn's in your 12th house. So really watch out for, you know, um, depression or anything. This is a house of self-undoing. This is really a tough time. Pisces are tend to be, they're more sensitive to the energy of others. Make sure you're taking care of your mental health. The 12th house, I also think about mental health. If you need to meditate, if you need to walk in nature, make sure to take care of yourself. And with Uranus in your third house, Pisces often can be very internal. Make sure you're communicating your needs to your partner and your family, your employer, whoever needs to know what you need for support, your siblings. It's a great time to get closer to your siblings. Yes. So anyway, so that is Pisces. Okay, so we have completed going through all of the signs. This is just some information about where you can find Astrology by Celeste. So my website is astrologybyceleste.com. Subscribe to my mailing list for extra goodies. I also have my free moon guide you can download. It talks about syncing with the energies of the moon as you go through the week. Book a reading. Yes, I do both, just the standard technical astrology readings, and I also do intuitive astro oracle readings where I give you hot takes on your chart and pull 12 cards around the wheel for you. And every Sunday I do an Instagram live at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please subscribe to my channel, follow me, book a reading, check out my events page. If you're watching this right around the time that I recorded it, I'm having 3 free events in 2021. It's February 19th, 26th, and March 4th, the Reach for the Moon events. They are going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to host them on Zoom. I'm going to just pull people up and they're going to ask me a question about work, play, or love. And then we are going to, we're going to do astro or oracle cards. So you can decide if you want an astrology reading or an oracle reading. And I'm going to try to give you some guidance to help you move forward with the questions that you ask. So thank you so much. I hope this was useful to you. You can please leave me a comment, check out my website, follow me on social media, and take good care of yourself during this year of the winds of change are strong. Ground yourself, nurture yourself, drink plenty of water, and just make sure you take care of yourself so that you can thrive, and don't fight the change. It is not an option. Bye.